Good morning to everybody on this beautiful Monday morning. You're very welcome to my Monday messages. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Rebecca and I'm a QTT personal development coach, mentor and a homeopath. And I use all three methods to help as many people as I can to be as healthy and happy as they can be. And most importantly, to show them the tools to be able to stay that way. And my Monday messages are really about my commitment to helping as many people as possible to take control of their lives and of their feelings and their emotions and the things that are triggering them. So I try to pop in here every Monday and give you all an idea, a theme, a thought, a practice to do for the week that will help you to do that. So if you're watching, and I can see that there's a couple of you that are, then do give me a thumbs up to make sure, I just want to make sure that you can hear me. So do that. That'll be very, very, very helpful. I hope you all had a really nice weekend. If you're here in Ireland, it has been quite wet. Although I managed to have a stunning walk up in the mountains yesterday with my lovely son and my dog. And that was gorgeous. And although it was really, really windy, I just love being amongst the trees and hearing the wind in the leaves and feeling the kind of wildness of it, really. Even a little bit of sprinkling of rain on the face. It was just, for me, it was just what I needed. It was really refreshing and invigorating. So I hope that you were able to enjoy the weather wherever you were as well. Okay, so today I wanted to, I suppose, continue the little mini theme that I've been talking about, which is about consciously connecting and consciously disconnecting from circumstances, from triggers, from situations or feelings that either are really helpful to you or are not so helpful, or perhaps keeping you in a negative state that you don't want to be in. So I've talked about a couple of ways to practice that. And today I was inspired, if you like, by a friend of mine who told me recently that she had noticed that when she scrolled through her social media newsfeed, every day or several times a day, she was getting more and more and more annoyed and irritated and wanting to respond in a kind of angry way, if you like, to an awfully high proportion of the posts in her newsfeed. And so her response to that was to say, okay, well, I don't like feeling like that. I don't want to feel like that, which is fabulous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not be on social media at all. I'm just going to cut it all out and not engage with it, not have it in my life. And that is absolutely one response. And it's a very good one, providing you haven't identified any value excuse me, in being on social media. If you have no reason to be there other than, everyone else is doing it, then that is a good response. For me, I do struggle with a lot of the values that I identify with social media and with particular certain platforms and the way that they're run. They do clash with a lot of my values. And I also celebrate the tools that they enable my business to use. And also on a personal level, actually. They've given me all sorts of connections that I don't think I would have made without their help. So I celebrate that. And I'm constantly conscious of making sure that there is a balance there, that the negatives are always, put it the other way around, the positives are always much greater than the negatives. So I've kind of built it into my self-care, or my personal development regime, if you like, that I'm just checking on a regular basis as to whether that balance is there or not. So that's something I would ask you to look at. But the reason I wanted to use that as a springboard today was because it reminded me of so many different things. That news feed that we spend time on, maybe you spend several times a day doing it. Maybe it's every hour. Maybe you're very disciplined and you do it once a day. I don't know. But when you're scrolling through that news feed, if the result of doing that is that it is triggering feelings that are quite negative for you, so whether that's anger, whether it's resentment, whether it's impatience, irritability, envy, jealousy, or maybe starting to question yourself and that whole thing of everybody else seems to be completely sorted apart from me, or how come their business is working so well, what's going on with mine, those kind of comparisons that we all make. If that's the case, and it's not a feeling that you want to be feeding, you want to be encouraging, and it is ironic that it is called your news feed, because that's exactly what you're doing when you're choosing to scroll through on a regular basis. Your attention is focused on things that are familiar to you. So patterns of behaviour, emotions, feelings, the things that are being triggered are feelings that you have got anyway, that you actually are carrying in your subconscious, and that when your subconscious recognises something that it's going to resonate with, that it will go, ooh, I recognise that, and you home in on that, and then you can do basically what's a repeat pattern, and it's keeping you kind of going around in circles, unless you take some kind of action like my friend did. So you can actually look at that news feed and you can say to yourself, okay, I don't like how I feel when I go through it. So yes, you can say, okay, therefore I won't have it in my life. I won't look at it. I won't have a news feed at all in my life. And that's certainly one way, as we've discussed. And there are lots of other options too. If you decide that actually it does serve you to have a presence of some kind on social media, and that you're not prepared to just say, no, I don't want any of it, you can control it better. You could choose, for example, to limit your time. And I've got clients of mine who've decided to do this, and it's worked really well for them, that they have a very limited time to check their social media news feeds. So, for some people it might be top and tail of the day, or it might be the middle of the day. It doesn't matter, whenever suits you. Or it may be that you put a clock on the time that you've decided to do it. You could set a little alarm on your phone, for example, that says, okay, I'm going to give this 20 minutes tops, not going to spend any more time on it. And when that alarm goes off, you're very disciplined about, that's it, that's my time, done. So that might work for you. So limiting your exposure, basically, to those kind of posts can be helpful. or those kind of feelings, actually. So there's that. There's also doing things like switching off notifications. So obviously, if you have something I did a long time ago, actually, if you have your notifications switched on for every part of your social media presence, and you're constantly hearing that little ping go off on your phone, that is constantly reminding you that you need to be looking at something, or that might be something negative that's going to come up, something that you might have to deal with. You don't need that if that's what it's bringing up for you. So I would suggest that you really review your notifications and work out whether you actually need all of them. There may be some notifications on, from some people or from certain platforms that you do need to know about. But maybe they can be, a silent vibration, or maybe you can look at the noise differently. So that's another way of just taking control of what it's doing. And the other thing is to look at the posts that are coming up. If you're finding that the majority of the posts that come up in your newsfeed are triggering you into negative thoughts or negative feelings, well, then why have them? You can, of course, block the person and say never have them on, engaging with you again. That might be appropriate in some cases. You can also elect to stop seeing their posts. So you remain connected, but you choose when you see their posts. So if you want to check in with them, you could decide, well, okay, I wonder what so-and-so is up to today or this week. I'll just pop onto their page and see what they've been doing. And that might be a better way to control it, because I think we've probably all got friends or colleagues, I certainly have, people who I have a lot of history with, actually. And we've gone in different directions in terms of our personal development, in terms of our awareness of all sorts of things and our interests in all sorts of things. And whilst I respect that they have different views from me, they have a different life from me, they have different values from me, that's absolutely fine. I choose not to spend my energy constantly trying to protect myself from those views. A lot of the views I wouldn't, they wouldn't be my views, they wouldn't be my values. So I can choose when I engage with those old friends. I don't need to have them telling me what they think on a daily basis. Because that triggers me and I don't want to be triggered. So you might want to just have a really good review of all your contributors to your newsfeed and just take charge of it. Just really notice whose posts are triggering you and whose are actually making you feel really good. I mean, I've got a brilliant selection now. Of course, there are occasions that take me by surprise, and that will depend largely on the mood that I'm already in, actually. But most of the time, when I go to my newsfeed, it's full of really lovely things. It's full of great information. It's full of really inspiring thoughts, or great images, or fantastic events and activities that I want to be taking part in. So in the main, actually it uplifts me. So aim for that. It's something that we can all do. This is very, very similar to what's going on inside. It's, if you think of your thoughts, your inner consciousness, those little voices that are triggered actually by your social media newsfeed and other things, that's your internal newsfeed. You have a sort of constant reel of thoughts that are just on the go the whole time. So your mind is constantly scrolling through. And again, depending on what kind of feelings and emotions you're carrying, you're going to lock in to anything that feels familiar or that is kind of resonating with something that you're already carrying. And you're just going to be perpetuating those feelings and those emotions. Largely that happens because we're not conscious of it. So what I want to encourage you to do is to become conscious of the fact that there is this news feed that's going on all the time, that you are actually observing that news feed. So you do, just the same as you do with your actual literal news feed, you do have the choice as to whether to engage with a thought or, a thought process, or just allow it, just notice it and allow it to flow through you and pass on and on to the next one. It takes practice, but just actually becoming conscious of the fact that you can do that will make an enormous difference. So practice on your actual news feed, and that will actually help you to notice what's triggering you. What if often there's a pattern of things that are being triggered by other people's stuff, and rather than going, well, they're wrong, or I've got to try and convince them that my view is better and that they are wrong. If you don't find that fruitful and it's not really actually making you feel very good, choose not to do it. Just either limit those kind of posts and those kind of thoughts, or just actually at the moment, I would say, notice them. Just notice, oh, that's interesting. That's making me feel angry. Or that's interesting. That's making me feel really sad. I wonder why that is. And just allow yourself, journaling is great for this. If you just let your thoughts go with, well, why do I think I'm being triggered by this? Perhaps that person doesn't know that I'm feeling sad today, or that I'm, that what they've just said is going to make me really angry. So how can I take responsibility for that? How can I take control of my reaction to someone else's trigger or thought or view or anything like that? And then you can say to yourself, well, okay, is that okay? Am I all right with that? Because actually I come out of it really quickly. It's just something that I'm noticing, and I'm then able to move on, in which case, great. Or is it something that actually, if there's kind of 2 or 3 or more of that kind of thing happening, that I end up staying in that for the entire day, maybe, or that I'm carrying it into my workplace. I'm carrying it into my relationships with other people. I'm sort of unconsciously giving them how I feel in an attempt to make myself feel better. Go back to the source, which is you, and ask yourself why you're being triggered. And just, that's all you need to do at the moment, is just notice. And then you will start to actually take control of your internal newsfeed. It's very like physical stuff as well, if you like. I mean, as a homeopath, especially at the moment, actually, I'm actually dealing with a lot of allergies, hay fevers and allergies and things like that. And most of the time, people who come to me with those type of illnesses or diseases they've done tons of other things first. And most of those other things have involved cutting things out. So like my friend who decided not to engage with Facebook anymore, what they've elected to do is they've elected to cut out everything that may trigger the allergy. And I'm not judging them for that, because God knows it's very uncomfortable. And of course, if you can just not be triggered, then that's a really good start. And that is a start. And, all those things that we talked about taking control of your newsfeed and your inner newsfeed, managing it is a really good place to start, because it's about taking control of it. What we do in homeopathy is we do that, and we also go to why that allergy has been set up in the first place, why that person is experiencing that kind of sensitivity to certain triggers. And that's exactly the same as your thoughts and your feelings. You can manage your whole life so that you are never being exposed to the triggers that make you feel really awful about yourself, or that make you feel unloved or unconfident or jealous or angry or any of those things. You can say to yourself, right, I'm going to cut them all out. What you're actually doing, though, is you're handing control of your life to that, to those feelings. Basically, you're arranging your entire outside life to try and make yourself feel better, to try and avoid the sensitivity that's there. You're not addressing the sensitivity, though. So I hope that is clear. So when I treat somebody homeopathically with allergies and food sensitivities and all sorts of things, I am first of all helping them to manage the existing situation, which is what we talked about in the beginning of this video. And secondly, I want to actually have my client or me, I want to be able to actually look at my news feed or experience being out in the world without being triggered at all. I want to be in such a state of strength and health that I can actually look at and observe all sorts of possible triggers, but they're not going to trigger me. They're actually other people's stuff, other people's views, other people's values, whatever it is, or, it's grass, it's pollen, it's, tree leaves, it's whatever it is. I don't have to avoid them because they're there in the world. That's just people for you. And I'm not being triggered by them. So that's the ultimate. And actually starting these little practices, which don't sound like much, but they all add up to meaning that you and I have control over how we respond to things, how we react to things, what triggers us and what doesn't trigger us. And that ultimately is true health. So I just want to invite you this week to start noticing what triggers you. Notice whether it makes you feel good or it makes you feel bad, and how long you feel like that for, what you do with those feelings afterwards. And then take action. Take some kind of action that's going to help you to manage that or to minimize it. And if you start with your actual news feed, then it will start to filter through to the rest of your life. So I hope that makes sense to all of you. I welcome any questions and also any feedback. I'd love to hear how you get on. Even if you could share, what kind of things really get you in a sort of annoyed, riled up state. What are the things that you feel really get in under your skin. That would be great. Okay, so that's it for this Monday. You can watch the replay, obviously, if you haven't been with me live. Do ask me any questions or share any experiences, and I will get back to you. If you're interested in doing deeper work about taking control of your feelings and your emotions and what triggers you, then do pop to my website, which is the address is in the post with this video. You can have a good look around there. There's lots of videos on there. You can also register for a free call with me so we can have a chat if you're not sure about whether I can help you or not. And also you can register for some free video series from me. So do pop along there. I wish you all a really lovely week and thank you so much for joining me. Okay, take care. Bye.